again, as Jeff said, Jeff with Herc Edwards. Our company's put in the Hussey seating, the Hussey telescopic bleachers here. Today we're going to do a demonstration for the safe operation of the bleachers. Two things to get out of it. Safety is the number one thing. They are a piece of heavy equipment. They have the capability of about 10,000 pounds of tractive force across the floor. Won't slow down for little fingers and stuff like that. So this has to be operated by a responsible individual. This is the master key. It's the only way this will operate. The second thing is that I hope you get out of today's demonstration is good housekeeping. If you can at least get a dust mop, make sure the path of travel where this is going to open onto is clear. The hair, the dust, the rocks, the gum, anything sticky. And then before you close it, make a cursory walk up through the bleacher, make sure there isn't a soda can leaning up against the back of something, something that could potentially spill and dribble down through for the next week or so while this isn't in operation. That will keep this bleacher running exponentially longer. The longer it can stay clean, the wheels stay clean, the better tracking it will have across the floor. If it starts to lose traction, then it starts to do something crooked, and we start looking at bending something, and we don't want to do that. So, the operation of this, again, this is the master key. This is the only way this bleacher will open. Is the pendant controller. Get myself tangled here. So this plugs in here on the left end of the bleacher. Inside the plug is a little bump on the inside, an indentation on the inside, if you will. Matches up correspondingly with the receptacle. There's only one spot, or one way this will plug in. Goes like that. Little metal clip here. Just clips that plug on there. Kind of keeps it from getting tugged out or getting a bad signal. It's just 2-button operation. You'll want to use extent of your cord. Again, safety is the big thing. Don't have people trying to race up and down, make it before you make it open or close. So as you're bringing this out, make sure it's bringing out essentially one at a time. Gets out and off on the button. Take your pendant controller with you. Don't leave that plugged in there. That's we don't want that to fall into somebody's hands. Start closing it while something was going on here. To continue setting up, we've got the front steps. They go here at the aisle locations. So the hook on the back of this step goes into the receiver here on the front of the skirt panel, just like that. Double check that, just make sure it's hooked on there. You wouldn't want that just roll out until you step on that. Did I take it? And the next part's turning the rails 90 degrees. Can you pause 1 second, sir? Again, to continue setting this up, turn the rails 90 degrees. A little Allen set screw down here on the bottom. Just keeps this rail from getting lifted out. And with half a turn on the Allen wrench will tighten it and loosen it just enough so it won't get pulled out. We'll turn each rail 90 degrees. To continue setting it up, we've got programmable front flex row spaces, and these are driven by the need to have a readily accessible ADA space. They're indicated by the signage next to the companion space. To pull these out, right underneath the seat here, nice smooth beam. Give it a pretty good little tug. It's on some little spring detents. Lock that out. If an ADA patron, lock that out. If an ADA patron does come in, pull this up to about 90 degrees. That slides back. You have your ADA space and the companion.
In this position, is it locked now? So when you put it in and take it out again, it's going to stay out? Or does it disengage every time?
No, it's actually locked out. When you pull the bleacher in, all the powered sections that we drive this bleacher, this one, everywhere except for where the ADAs are, will actually drive back. So these will then be sticking out of the front.
So this is manual no matter what.
Manual no matter what.
Okay.
It's called a manually programmable flex row is the fancy term for it. It goes, it stays where you brought it out last. So you brought it out, drive the whole bleacher back. These two seats will be sticking out. You could potentially move those other ones out manually if you wanted some place to change your shoes or put a water bottle.
So, but you don't have to unlock it when you put it back, right? We could leave it there and put it back.
Correct.
It's not going to break anything.
No.
Very good.
So with all those extended, you have absolutely the maximum seating capacity. You can leave them back as you wish, like we were discussing. Usually, we've heard some places they recommend, they go, oh, we always leave them back for a wheelchair patron to come in and use them. Then if the event starts, additional people want some seats, they can slide forward. Doesn't matter one way or the other. So as far as the operation, underneath maintenance, annual inspections are required to maintain the 5-year warranty from the manufacturer. You contact my office or the manufacturer. I've got a list of about 5 qualified SC installers that can do it. Doesn't take very long. They're just going to come through, make sure all the frames and everything are all aligned, just double check all the bolts and operation of the flex rows and stuff.
Will you guys set up those inspections, or should we call you?
You'd have to contact us or Hussey to do them, yeah.
How often?
Like yearly?
Once a year.
Yes, sir.
Every October.
As far as the lubrication, oiling, anything like that, these bleachers don't require it any longer. They're all frictionless interlocks on the frames. It's called a CPI, the continuous positive interlock. It's basically a pair of interlocking J channels, but they don't have the metal-on-metal friction. Inside your tracks here is a little wheel. Up here, doesn't require lubrication or oiling or anything, so it just rolls back and forth in that track on the end stabilizers, which is what that is. So the annual inspection maintain the 5-year warranty. After that, the code now reads for grandstands and telescopic seating that they need to be inspected to maintain occupancy. We're not seeing a big kickback from that yet. It's just in the new code, but I think what they're trying to drive out are the ones that don't have the end rails or the closed decks. If the lake breakers walk on this board and you sit on this board and everything else is open, I think they're trying to get some of those off, remove some of the liability. These are all up to the latest codes. Closed decks, end rails, aisles, aisle rails, ADA spaces, everything's all up to the latest code. Again, the housekeeping, good idea to periodically at least climb through. It's not crazy fun, but at least climb through. Make sure there isn't something accumulating back there, dust, debris, socks, I don't know what else would be back there. And then obviously, yeah. Then obviously before you close it, you must take a look underneath there, make sure there isn't somebody is the big concern, but also they didn't stuff a bunch of folding chairs or volleyball poles or something underneath here to kind of hide them and get them out of the way for temporarily. Before you close that up, you just got to take a look underneath. So that's everything open, ADA spaces. Closing operation is the exact opposite. We'll go back around to the front.
So there's no sensors that would stop that thing?
Not anything overloading the motors, no.
So we got to be extra careful what's down there.
Correct. You'll know right away. I mean, it's very smooth. Yeah, well, if somebody screams, that was probably negligence. There's a service disconnect underneath there, like a code required service disconnect. If you were going to be under there, standing the floor, watching the wall, there is a lockout, tag-out position back there. You can lock it out. And then even if somebody showed up with the other pendant controller or anything like that, they couldn't operate.
Okay.
So there is a safety service disconnect underneath it. I'll show you the motor circuit breaker when we get it closed. Okay, so closing the bleacher up. It's the exact opposite. You want to walk through. Turn your rails 90 degrees. We're about half a turn on the Allen wrench there.
Do we have an Allen wrench, or is that something we have to get?
Beg your pardon?
Do you guys give us an Allen wrench for that? Or is it something
I was given 2 with pin control last time, but I've got them in my
So
bag.
I'm sure that we have.
I'll give you 2.
Oh, but the first thing to get along.
Front stab, just kind of lift it up off the hooks there on the back. Pick it up. I generally like to put it up here at the second row. Reason being that if you close this all up and you want to use this flex row, bring this out for some reason, the length of this is longer than that, so if we get caught in there, just tuck it up in the second row is easier. Okay, so as you're going through and you're turning the rails, you're taking a look down each row. Make sure there isn't volleyball, basketballs, soda cans, anything else. Puddles of water, anything that might eventually weep down through, especially if you closed it up for a week and the can tipped over, starts weeping down through. Again, good housekeeping and cleanliness will really make this last a lot longer. You've gone through, looked at everything. Bring your pen and controller to the left end of the bleacher. Just the one way. Taking a good cursory look through here beforehand, making sure nobody's under there. No one is under, nobody, no basketballs just sitting underneath the bottom here. Because those will impede the operation. One button to close. So you're watching to make sure each row is getting picked up essentially evenly, one row at a time. If it doesn't, all of a sudden one end box wildly, it bows around the center in some way, stop. Don't push the button any harder, it doesn't make it go in. And investigate. Something's underneath there and it's obstructing the closing. If you've done that long enough, didn't notice that it was twisting up, once these motors start to get overloaded, there is a circuit breaker underneath. It's right in the middle of the section, which the indicator is these 2 bolts together. That's the center. Snaps up. And right there, the thermal protection circuit breaker, big rocker switch, the big white rocker switch. Down is off, up is on, just like a light switch. If you've overloaded that motor, it will click off. Need to reset it, set it back up to on.
One motor?
There's 1 per section.
1 per section.
We'll have
3 sections?
3 on this side.
So you'd have 3 trips potentially.
Potentially 3, usually just 1 will go. And ideally, you should have noticed the problem before you'll trip one of them. But 99% of my calls, that fixes it. People go, oh, my bleacher doesn't work, it's going crooked. Did we reset those? Oh, no, we didn't know. About an 18-inch ruler will do it right through that crease right there, too. Just a shortcut. Snap on some hooks there. Okay, so you did encounter something. It got a little bit twisted up. You investigated. You found there was a volleyball underneath there. Pulled the volleyball out. Bleacher's a little bit crooked. You went through. You double-checked all your circuit breakers. They're all back on and good. What you want to do is go that way and extend all the bleacher frames back out straight. If they're crooked, and you keep adding to it and trying to back them up, there's that fraction of an inch it picks up with each one. Eventually you could get to a point where you bend something and you don't want to do that. So, just for safety and good practice, if you run into a problem, bring the bleacher back out to its full extension. all the frames out straight, then retract it. Take the Fender controller with you. That's the key to this thing, as we talked about. The other item everybody asks, and I will give you my answer. Can you use the bleacher in partial configuration? Can we pull out just 2 rows? Yes, absolutely you can. You want to fully extend this row just as it comes up to pick up this one. Don't have this one about halfway out with this one underneath fully extended. Try and get it to where this one just comes out, just touches this one, you let off the button and stop. The bad part of that is, makes this all the more inviting to jump up on, play King of the Hill, overload it, and this is an unsupported cantilever in the way bleachers work, is there are a bunch of C-frames that nest inside each other all the way down to the bottom. They pull out, the one below it holds the one above it. So this actually, it's a cantilever out here that this one hasn't come out in support yet. If you get a whole bunch of people up here, they're all jumping up and down, start, chanting for their team. 1, safety factor, again, absolutely can't be done. But 2, if they did it, they could potentially start to bend this down a little bit. This row won't pull out underneath it, it starts going crooked, it's bad. So I discourage, on a bleacher this size, using partial rows. And while it's in the closed position, this is off limits. It's just safety alone. You wouldn't want to fall off that. Control with me. So that's everything. Care, maintenance, opening, closing, questions, issues.
Is the motor usually that loud?
There is a safety beacon on this. That's
Oh,
what
that's what that is. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Yes.
There's a piezo, whatever speaker on the contactor box back there. And that's what's making that.
It wasn't the motor then.
No, it's not the motor.
Okay.
It is. It's. Oh, clean. Yeah, sure. Mild soap and damp cloth. No sopping wet. Also, same with this. You can do it with a damp mop and like a TSP or a mild soap. Don't want to have it sopping wet. Don't want to soak it. Again, stuff will eventually weep down. Seams. There's seams in these boards. It's all coming in groove, and it's as tight a joint as you can get. But if you let standing water get on there, it'll eventually soak in. It's a contiguous color. These are injection molded seats. So if somebody carves something in there, it's still going to be tan. Getting permanent marker off is something else entirely. I don't know.
No.
I don't know anything that gets it off. To tell you the truth.
Okay.
If you do, share it with me, because I got a lot of people who go, "Oh, the guy came in with a Sharpie and you did something." And
Mr. Clean Eraser.
does that take off Sharpie?
It takes off a lot of stuff.
Okay, I'll try it. I'll suggest it. Try it.
New sign, no Sharpies.
Yeah.
Yeah, no sharpies. Moves to your pockets.
Yeah. Yes,
Oh,
sir.
you're gonna have to. That's gonna be the first one.
Sure. The other stuff.